You're listening to episode 11 of A Whole New You podcast. On today's show, Lori is discussing essential oil usage and safety guidelines. Welcome to A Whole New You podcast. I'm your co-host, Kim Maravich. I'm a registered nurse and author of the book 360 Health. I'm joined by my dear friend, Lori Biddle, a health and wellness coach certified through the Institute for Integrative Nutrition. Our show exists to inspire and empower women to take charge of their health, with weekly tips and conversation about self-care, mindset, nutrition, fitness, and clean living. Please keep in mind that the material provided in this podcast is intended as general information only and should not be used as a substitute for professional medical advice, diagnosis, or treatment. We're thrilled to have you here. Let's get to the show. Welcome back, everybody. We're glad to have you here for another week. We're sitting in Lori's kitchen right now, which is where we record most of our episodes. And Lori is always diffusing some beautiful smelling essential oils. And today she had a blend of lime and balance, which is a blend of oils going. And it smelled so good. I was asking her for her recipe because I love the smell. Her house smells amazing every time I walk in. But we've had lots of questions over the past few weeks about essential oils because we have talked about them several times in our podcasts. And so on today's episode, we are going to dedicate this time towards essential oils and their usage, and we're going to be talking about the safety of them as well. And since Lori is the guru of essential oils, I'm going to turn the podcast over to her. And we'll listen to all of the goodness that she has to share with us today.
Well, thanks, Kim. It is very true. We've had some questions, mostly on usage, because there is an oil for everything, and most of the episodes I've thrown something in about the benefits of essential oils and how they can support whatever we're talking about that day. And I don't really spend a whole lot of time on how to use them. So as Kim said, we're gonna dedicate some time for that today. And essential oils are so super powerful. And they really are very potent. So, that power needs to be respected, but that power also is what makes them effective, and I had talked in a previous episode about quality being so very important because, if you have an oil that you've got off the shelf, say local Walmart or wherever, or, some random oils that purchased online, sometimes there's synthetics in there or they're highly diluted. So, you're hearing about all these great therapeutic benefits that people are getting from oils, but you might not be experiencing that because, it comes back to quality. And when you are using high quality oils, that you do have to have some education hand in hand with that. Again, back to because they're so potent. And they have, they're very, very complex. They have many constituents that work hand in hand with the body and, hundreds of constituents actually. And really, anything we consume can be toxic if it is in really large doses. So the thing with essential oils is a little goes a long way. And that is the main thing to remember when you're using them. And, two of the most popular ways to use essential oils are aromatic, which would be through a diffuser. And a diffuser made for essential oils, it has vibration that breaks down the oils into like a nice, fine, cool vapor, and it releases the oil particles into the air, and they get absorbed, by your body through the respiratory system. So, the benefits of that are going right into your body. And even though it's making your house smell really good, you are getting health benefits from diffusing in the air. And like Kim said today, I had some lime in there, which I've been doing a lot the last few weeks. I don't know if I'm just over winter, and lime reminds me of sitting on the beach with a Bud Light lime or a Corona with a nice fresh lime in it. I think that's probably, or a margarita, all these things. It just gives me happy feelings. and it's very uplifting, but it also sanitizes the air because, again, there's little particles of that oil being released into the air when you're using an essential oil diffuser. So that is something, that I love about that method, and that is probably the easiest way to start. So, again, a little goes a long way. A lot of times I'll do only like 3 drops of oil in my diffuser. And especially if you're like in a bedroom with the door closed, you don't need a lot. Now, if you're in a great room and, you want it to really, first of all, there's different diffusers too that have different square footage. So you want to look for that when you're purchasing your diffuser based on where you're putting it. But, you could use some more drops in a big space, but I always think 3 is enough. And you can combine oils in your diffuser. So you could do, 1 drop of one sort of oil and another drop of another oil, up to 3 different ones, because they do combine nicely. And a lot of it comes down to personal preference too. And just a little side note, I will say that, if you are sampling oils and you're drawn to a certain oil, it's probably because that's what your body needs. Your body's very smart. So listen to that and, pay attention to that if you ever are trying out different oils. So, another way, a very popular way to use oils is topically. And with this one, it does become a little bit more, the education piece becomes a little bit more important because, especially if we're using with children, we always want to dilute with a carrier oil. So you can use many different kinds of oils. Even just olive oil that you have in your kitchen is going to help cut the essential oil and dilute it for your skin. But you'll have a little scent with that. So the most popular one is fractionated coconut oil, which always stays liquid and it doesn't have a scent. And you'll see, a lot of times on essential oil websites and, people posting about essential oils, you can get, they're usually using fractionated coconut oil. So if you're wondering what that is and what the difference is between that and the oil that you're cooking with, is it doesn't solidify. It stays liquid all the time, which is really great for making ruler balls, which a ruler ball is just like a glass bottle with this little like ball on top that rolls there for the name ruler ball. But it's a really easy way to pre-mix oils and kind of have them on hand. Because for like an adult, you would do, more essential oils and less carrier oil than you would for a kid. So it's really, really good to kind of mix these in advance. So the most popular size of ruler balls is a 10 milliliter ruler ball. So just to give you an idea of some simple dilution guidelines, for an adult, you would do like 30 drops of an essential oil in a 10 milliliter bottle. And then you would just top it off with that liquid fractionated coconut oil. And then you have it on you, at all times. You can stick it in your purse. You can keep it on your nightstand. It makes it really convenient. Now for kids, you would do half that. You would only do like 15 drops of essential oil and then fill the rest up with coconut oil. And then with toddlers and babies, the number of drops goes down, babies way down, when you're mixing with the carrier oil. But you also can just kind of mix it in your hand, and my favorite place to put essential oils is on the bottom of the feet, because the feet, and I know I've mentioned this in other episodes, the feet are very porous. So, it'll get into your system and right into your bloodstream and do its job. Plus, the feet are probably the least sensitive area of the body. So, that skin is a good place to use the essential oils.
I just wanted to ask a question, Laura. The roller bottle, the bottles or roller balls on the bottles. You can buy those actually on Amazon, can't you? And can you also get the fractionated coconut oil on Amazon in case people are interested?
Yes, you can. And also like doTERRA and Young Living and anywhere you're purchasing your essential oils will also sell those. And actually, we had a new place here in Cranberry open up. It's called Fresh Time, and it's like a farmer's market, supermarket place. It's really fun, although I need to go there maybe not on a weekend that it just opened because it was insanely crowded. But I did see an aisle that had a lot of like essential oil supplies, and I got really excited. And I guess I've seen them at Whole Foods too. They just seem to have a lot more selection at Fresh Time. So, keep your eyes open because a lot of times they do sell them, in those kind of stores. But you want to try to get one that is shaded, like either blue or brown, which is what I see on the shelves the majority of the time, just because it protects the integrity of the oil. And you also want to store them, in a drawer or somewhere dark. You wouldn't want to put them like on a windowsill in the sun because that can start to kind of change them. And you want to keep them, in their natural form. So, so roller balls are a really good way and a really convenient way to use your oils, pre-dilute, and just have them on hand. And anyone who purchases oils through me, I always send them a little chart, to help with the dilution. And doTERRA, the company that I work with, they also sell in the pre-diluted, roller balls. They're a little bit more expensive, for the convenience, but if you are intimidated by mixing up your own, that is certainly an option. You can just buy them pre-mixed and again, throw them in your purse, throw them in a backpack, have them sitting on your nightstand. It just makes it really easy. But you can also mix it up anytime in your hand with like 1 drop of essential oils to about 3 drops of a carrier oil and just rub it in your hands and rub it on the bottom of feet. That's a really easy way to do it without having to worry about pre-mixing a bunch of stuff up. So, just to go back to inhaling the oils for a moment as well, another way to just enjoy them aromatically is to put a drop in the palm of your hand and then just kind of cup your hands over your face and do a deep inhale. That's going to give you the same kind of benefit as diffusing, but, again, put your bottle of oil in your purse because if you're out and about, you're not really by a diffuser, and you just, for instance, if you need to kind of inhale some peppermint or inhale something to wake you up or clear out some gunk, you can do that right in the palm of your hand and take a deep inhale no matter where you are, any time of day. So that's a quick way to just be able to inhale them without diffusing. I do always tell people, try not to put them on your fingertips, just kind of in the palm of your hand, because sometimes you just forget and rub your eye, and that can really hurt. So essential oil in the eye doesn't feel very good. But if that ever does happen, you don't want to rinse it out with water because that's not really going to give you a whole lot of relief. Coconut oil is always your answer. When it comes to oils. So you can just kind of put coconut oil around your eye. I mean, I even use coconut oil to take my eye makeup off. It doesn't bother my eyes at all. So, that's just rub some coconut oil on there and it'll help pull the essential oil out of your eye. So there's a little safety tip on that. But yeah, so my 2 favorite ways to get the benefits of essential oils are to diffuse and to apply topically. And if you are going to do the topical application, there is a nice dosage chart that I know doTERRA provides. And it's another thing that I send everyone who purchases oils through me, just so they have a guideline. Because, when you go and buy something off the shelf or your doctor gives you a medication, they give you a dosage, right? So just getting a bottle of oil and not knowing what to do with it is kind of scary. So it is nice that doTERRA has a recommended ideal amounts chart. And just to give you an idea, for the topical usage, they say for an adult, the ideal amount is like 3 to 6 drops. And I think that's probably, I'm very conservative. So for me, that's probably even a lot at one time. And then the 24-hour suggestion is 12 to 36 drops in a 24-hour period. So that's just, again, a little guideline, which is nice to have. And then for children, they say 1 to 2 drops is the ideal amount for topical use. And then 3 to 12 drops would be over the course of the whole day, you don't really want to use more than that. So again, this is not the Bible. It's just a guideline, which is really, really nice to have. So, there is another way, and it's on this recommended ideal amounts chart from doTERRA, and that is internal and oral. These are some other ways to use the essential oils. I do have to say, me personally, and again, it goes back to because I'm super conservative and it goes back to personal comfort level, but I really don't do a lot of internal usage of the oils. Do I think it can be helpful and come in handy? Absolutely. I think if you have like a serious infection or using it for, a major therapeutic purpose, it can be really powerful and really useful and helpful. Do I think we need to do that on a daily basis for prevention? I don't know. A lot of essential oil advocates are probably hearing this out there right now and saying, yes, we do. And I know there is certainly a great argument for that. And doTERRA has done all the research to say that it is safe, and they have on their recommended ideal amounts chart, some dosage information on that as well. And internal and oral are kind of different, because oral is like putting drops directly under your tongue, and internal is maybe ingesting it in like a veggie capsule or something like that, which for me, if I am, feel something coming on, I will do that in a capsule, but I don't on a daily basis. And again, that's just my personal preference. So as an essential oil advocate and a person who, sells these oils to people, I don't recommend anything that I'm not personally doing. However, I point them to the research and to all the information, and you as smart, intelligent women can decide what you're comfortable with and what you're comfortable with for your family. So I just wanted to kind of throw that out there, because I'm sure you've seen a lot about that as well. And that is the third way to use your oils. And let's see here. There are a couple oils that always, always, always have to be diluted. They're called hot oils. And I do have a little bit of a story for you, which you might laugh, because there is a little bit of experimentation in this process of learning to use oils. And I had bought a kit, when I first started, that had all these little 5 milliliter bottles of oil, and I was so excited to try them all. And I did. I went through a lot of them, and the one that I hadn't opened yet was oregano. And I thought, what do I use oregano for? I gotta figure this out. So my husband was complaining about some pressure in his head and some congestion or whatever, and I think I looked it up in my book, and oregano was one of the options. So my husband has no hair. If you guys have seen any pictures, he shaves his head. So, I had like a nice clean slate there. I didn't even have to worry about getting any oil in his hair or anything like that. So I took that oregano and I poured it out of my hand, and I like straight out of the bottle, and I'm rubbing it on his head. And all of a sudden he's like, it's burning. It's burning. Is it supposed to burn? It's burning. And so I ran over and I got my coconut oil and I diluted it right on his head, and it calmed down. And it was helpful for what he was looking for it to do. But he probably could have done without the burning. And lesson learned, it is a hot oil. It should never be applied to the skin without diluting beforehand. And there are a couple other oils that are like that as well, which is going to be your cassia, which is a form of cinnamon, your clove, your oregano, which I already mentioned. And those are the ones that you're always, always going to want to dilute. Now, there are some oils that are considered neat, which means they can be applied directly to the skin without a carrier oil. I most of the time will still use a carrier oil, just because it makes your oils last longer. It makes it easier to apply. Like if you've ever just poured a drop of essential oil in your hand and tried to rub it in somewhere, it soaks in your hand pretty quickly. So it makes it harder to apply it. So I typically always dilute. And when it comes to children, you're going to want to use a carrier oil every time you use oil with kids. But typically a neat oil, which is like your lavender, and then melaleuca, melissa, sandalwood, those are some good examples of oils that are safe to just apply without a carrier oil. So again, use your judgment, but I still like to use a carrier oil for many reasons. Like essential oils are volatile, so they're all over the place. So I think a coconut oil or a nice carrier oil too helps you get more of the benefit because it's keeping them kind of in place and on your body where you want them to be, not bouncing all around. So I'm a big fan of dilution and using a carrier oil. Something else I wanted to mention today, especially because in other episodes, when I'm talking about all the benefits of oils and, how great they can be, one of the things that I mentioned was, adding some citrus oils to your coconut oil. Because we talked about coconut oil replacing all your fancy, smancy, expensive lotions, and how I just slather it all over my whole body. And I had said, you can put some different oils in there like geranium or jasmine to give it like a nice floral scent. And I also mentioned your citrus oils, which do give it a nice citrusy scent. But, after I went back and I listened to the episode and I was thinking, I wish I would have at the same time I said that kind of thrown out that citrus oils are also photosensitive, meaning if you put it in your coconut oil and you rub it all over your whole body and you go out in the sun, it's really going to increase your chances of burning. So you do want to, within like 12 hours of application of any sort of photosensitive oil, be very careful with sun exposure. Now here in Pittsburgh this time of year, it's not as big of a deal. We're all inside. We hardly ever see the sun, unfortunately. So, in the winter, I wouldn't stress over it. It's just something to be aware of. Like in the summer, it's probably not the best option to have that as part of your beauty regimen. So just something that I really wanted to point out on that. And then, essential oils with sensitivity reactions, everyone has different triggers and people can, have reactions to different things. But essential oils actually don't really contain allergens. They don't have the proteins that a lot of times people are allergic to. So a lot, I learned this through doTERRA University, where I've gotten, a lot of my education on oils, is that, even though a sensitivity can produce a similar type of reaction as an allergy, like people typically aren't allergic to essential oils. They can be sensitive to them, but not necessarily allergic. So that was just something that I kind of wanted to point out because I thought that was an interesting fact. But, I still have a lot to learn about oils. I think, the basics that I know, I love to talk to people about because most people have no idea how much they can help in your home and, and your family, and empowering you, especially as a mom, to kind of go to your cabinet when you experience something in your household and see, what you can handle with your oils. I can't even tell you how good that feels as a mom before running out the door to the doctor or running to the drugstore and buying a bunch of stuff that may or may not help. It's like your first line of defense, and it just really feels so good. And I'm continuing to learn all the time, and I do that a lot through books. There's a lot of different books out there on essential oils. I keep seeing one that I know I'm just gonna buy at some point. I keep walking past it at Barnes and Noble, and it's Essential Oils of the Bible. And I just paged through it, and I need to buy it and really sit down and read it because it goes through a lot of different ailments, different mixtures that you can do for this or that. But I just loved the whole approach of it, and I think it would be a really interesting read. But doTERRA is where I started my essential oil journey, and they have taught me so much. But I've also branched out too, and done some trainings online, and again, just read different books. And I'm probably going to botch the pronunciation of this, so definitely excuse me for that. But Tisserand Institute, I always want to say Tisserland, but there's no L. So, but it's TISSERAND Institute is a very well-known for essential oil education. They've published some really great books. They have one on chemistry, which is way over my head, but little by little, I need to work my way through that because there is so much to understand about oils. And again, I'm constantly always learning, but I am here to support those of you who maybe bought some oils at a friend's party and don't really know how to use them, or, you don't have oils and you would like to purchase some and, they intimidate you. So you need someone to walk you through. I am very happy to do that. And, on my website, I have a link to essential oils where it's actually a doTERRA link where you can go and purchase, these oils that I have gotten very comfortable with the company, because I know that their sourcing is very good. They go to where the plants are, where they live and where they're in their environment, and they are the best when you find them, where they are inherent and where they grow. And, they also help a lot of people in the process, because a lot of those places are pretty run down and they're kind of depressed areas, and doTERRA goes in. It's kind of a win-win situation for everybody. And, I just was really impressed with their sourcing, and they're very pure, and you do get those benefits. There are some other companies out there, and I am also starting to explore some of those. As I mentioned in another episode, I have set up a dispensary for my health coaching practice, and there are some oils on this dispensary as well, and I'm starting to kind of play around with some of those brands. I know they're used by a lot of aromatherapists, which are people who have, more in-depth education on oils, and, I love learning from them as well. So it's a journey. It's a journey that's always continuing, and they are so powerful. And you've probably heard this a million times. There's an oil for everything. So if you have any more questions, hopefully, I covered a lot of things today that people were wondering, and that you feel like, especially if you already have those oils in your house, that you kind of know a little bit more of, what to do with them now. But if you have any further questions, please reach out. I'd love to chat.
I think this was really interesting. Lori knows a lot about specific kinds of essential oils too. So if you maybe have questions about which oils are good for, immunity or calming anxiety, she knows a lot about that too. So
and that's the other thing too. Like whenever, anytime someone purchases oils through me, like I said, I provide the dilution recommendations, the dosage recommendations, just some background. But I also sit down with you and we talk about your family and your specific needs. And, we kind of go from there as to what's going to work best for you.
Yeah, I think that's really helpful to have that one-on-one interaction, because, I didn't really know much about essential oils at all before meeting Lori, and having gone to a few of her workshops also, she had given us some handouts on, and we got to test some essential oils too, which was really nice, but I live close to her. But she just knows so much about, oils that will benefit different parts of your life too. So for example, if you are, having a lot of stress in your life, Lori would be able to tell you which oils would be good for that. If you are sick, she can give you tips on that too. So I find that I approach her for advice on that, because it's nice to have your home smelling nice and fragrant, but they are therapeutic too, which I think is important to remember. And also the one thing that stands out to me that she said today was that sourcing does matter. I think that's pretty cool that doTERRA does source them in a great way. But if you are buying oils, maybe just online from a place that's perhaps not reputable or you don't know much about, Lori did mention that there can be synthetic compounds in there. And to me, I kind of, maybe I'm wrong, Lori, and you can correct me, but I kind of equate that to eating like non-organic produce, for example, that there could be like, pesticides in this produce, and we don't want to be really ingesting that. So if you're not getting oils from a reputable source, you could be ingesting, right, like, because she mentioned it goes right into your lungs. You could
right into your bloodstream too. Yeah. So
yeah, which is scary if you're not using oils that are of a good quality, or you don't know where they came from. So I think that was an important takeaway for me today. So Lori has given you some great advice, and if you want to hear more from Lori, or if you have questions, you can go to her website, which is simplyempoweredllc.com. If you want to know more from Kim, you can go to kimmaravich.com. Although don't ask me essential oil questions because I don't know. We're always open to listener questions or suggestions for the show. You can email those to contact@awholenewyou.podcast.com. We'd also love it if you joined our Facebook community and followed us on Instagram. You can just search for A Whole New You Podcast. And if you would be so kind as to leave us a review in iTunes, we'd really appreciate that, so more people can find our show and join our community. And if you want to subscribe to the podcast, that would be great as well. You can do that in iTunes also. We'll see you next week.